Mendelian laws, such as the law of independent assortment, are constant. They apply in cases where genes contribute to normal phenotype. In this example, the dominant allele gives an individual the ability to roll their tongue for the first gene, and for the second gene, the dominant allele confers the trait of free hanging earlobes. In contrast, the recessive allele for the first gene, when homozygous, renders an individual unable to roll their tongue, and for the second gene, the trait of attached earlobes. When individuals are homozygous for each of these two genes, all of their gametes will be the same. So the man contains dominant alleles for both traits in all of his sperm. The woman will create ova which have recessive alleles for each of these two traits. The same pattern of independent assortment would be observed in cases where the dominant alleles cause a genetic disease, such as Alzheimer's disease in the case of the A allele, or Huntington's disease in the case of the B allele in this example. The woman would not develop either Alzheimer's or Huntington's disease because she is homozygous recessive, and it is the dominant alleles which cause these diseases. In this case, the man who is homozygous dominant for each of these two genes will produce sperm which only carry dominant alleles, and thus would transmit the likelihood of developing each of these two diseases, while the woman's ova would carry the recessive alleles and would not transmit the predisposition to either of these diseases to her offspring. This same pattern of independent assortment would be observed in cases where it is the recessive allele which transmits the possibility of developing a genetic disease. So in this example, those who possess a dominant allele for the first gene will not develop cystic fibrosis, and a dominant allele for the second gene will protect from phenylketonuria. It is only those who are homozygous recessive for the A gene which would develop cystic fibrosis, or the B gene which would develop phenylketonuria. The man, when he creates sperm, will contribute only dominant alleles which do not confer the risk of these two genetic diseases, while the woman's ova will carry recessive alleles for each of these two genes, which would then confer risk of both cystic fibrosis and phenylketonuria.